Go ahead, Senator Boni.
Mr. Speaker, because Parliament keeps record of everything, Hansard has been told that the minister went around with the president asking the people in the countryside what they wanted.
Let me stop you.
The minister did not campaign with President William Ruto. How was he there? He was campaigning with Raila Odinga.
Let me stop you.
He's misleading the country.
Boni Kalwale, maybe we heard differently. But the CS did not in any way mention that he accompanied the president in those visits. He said the president did. So let me just stop you there. You have no point of order. No, there is no need to be informing. CS, please proceed. But that's not what the CS said. What you said is not what the CS said. That's why I should actually find you out of order for raising a frivolous point of order. CS, please proceed.
So, Mr. Speaker, I was just trying to allude to the fact that sometimes nations bury themselves in big terms like feasibility and all those things, and we spend all our lifetime doing feasibility on what we already know. So is there unemployment? Yes. Do we need to create value and dignity to our people? Yes. And the people have spoken. So I think this is what you're trying to do. Just to draw an example, in the year 2002 when President Mwai Kibaki came to office, we implemented the free primary education. It was implemented on day one. We literally opened all the doors. I'm sure the Honorable Kalwale remembers, no feasibility was ever done. Was it a success? Yes. So I think let us also agree there are historical challenges we have had. And again, we may not want to go to the, spend money, take a lot of time is gone, it's time for action. And I think these KIPES, we agree they are not perfect, but we are on a journey to perfecting them. So that admission means that in our second batch, we'll be able to correct where we didn't do, maybe there was an omission. But again, we want to say that we don't want to bury ourselves in too many jargons while our people are suffering by the roadside. And, there's no sanitation, tomatoes by the roadside the whole day, by evening, they all go to waste. So I don't think we need a feasibility to confirm that potatoes or tomatoes will wither by the end of the day. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of incentives, I agree with the Honorable Member, Omtata, that indeed we are working with the counties to attract. Now, that's now how we get to Migori, Uasin Gishu, and all the others. So the county governments have an opportunity to create business forums, to showcase the opportunities that are there, what incentives are there, partner with the bank so that we can now have more value addition. In the western parts of the country, including Busia, Migori, and all the others, our idea was that in the East African market, we can be able to supply those markets using our KIPES in those particular parts of the country. So they were actually export-oriented, like the one in Busia. And just for information, in Busia we have the EPZ and also the KIPE, and they are both at the same place. So again, just trying to emphasize that we believe that the future of Kenya is also conquering regional markets that will be very useful for us. But I appreciate, and even as I say that we shouldn't be too academic, also to acknowledge that Omtata is known to me through his writing as a serious poet, and I salute him. We went through his poems when we were in intervention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to go to Mr.
But CS, let me inform. No, sorry, Senator Newton. No intervention. No intervention. Senator, Cabinet Secretary, you have 5 minutes, so please.
Thank you.
Go very quickly over the questions.
The Honorable Kenyan, I think the question of why don't we map out the whole country so that we don't end up doing industries everywhere, agriculture everywhere. I think there are some countries that can do well. Just for your information, certain countries such as China have taken like a whole province and said, this is where we get our potato, not just agriculture, one particular variety. Because it takes a bit of infrastructure, planning, aggregation, the extension officers to make sure that a particular commodity succeeds. So I think this is well in order. However, because the driving of the economic agenda of a county is a responsibility of the governors, this is where we really need to cooperate. So that when we say we want to have like 5 counties as the key industrial centers, it doesn't mean the others are not important, but they can also do something else, including tourism and other issues. So I think it's best is to pick maybe 2 or 3 that are most useful and run away with them. Some counties have done very well in logistics. We can support them to become the logistical hub for the entire East and Central Africa. Then with respect to collaborating with the Ministry of Housing, yes, we are working with them. And although we are not the implementing ministry in terms of markets for housing, we work together for information, for citation of where the market will be built, and we continue to deal with emerging issues as and when they come. We consider markets to be an extension of the housing agenda, because when you build a house, those people will require some place to go and buy their vegetables. They will require some place to go and work. And if you just put people in houses without providing the necessary social infrastructure, you're actually creating ghettos, and these will be centers of crime. So it is necessary to provide associated services such as markets, social centers, nursery schools for the kids, and a bit of a dispensary. That is what we call an integrated living, including a basketball or place where they can play some sports. Otherwise, we will have high crime that we cannot be able to control, and this is part of that program. The Honorable Nyoto did mention about markets in Muranga, and some of them that may be empty. I think what I would really want to encourage all of us is that when you are making economic decisions, it may be necessary to remove a bit of the politics. And this is what I have in mind. So you find that a market is to be built in a particular place, but the citation of that market sometimes ends up not necessarily being an economic decision. It's more, you know, leaders want it in this location, or this is where I come from. But the point is, a market is defined as where the buyers, the sellers, and the commodities are. So if you take the physical building outside those 3 parameters, then that will be a white elephant. So we need to work with what is already in existence. And that is why you find, like on your way to Nakuru, there's a place called Sokomjinga. There was no physical market, but there were buyers, there were sellers, and there was a commodity. So what the government is doing is just placing now the infrastructure so that they can get inside there. So we need to align to what the public want in citation of that. Mangoes from the lower parts of Muranga, I want to confirm indeed that's true. And as I said with respect to Kambani, we would want to make Kenya a major producer of mango pulp. And this is really where the governors can also help us, so that we create enough mango plantations and we have the right climatic weathers there. And most significantly is the fact that we already have markets for mango pulp, and I don't think Kenya can satisfy the global demand for mango pulp for the next even 20 years. So it's time for leaders to come together, get the right varieties, get the right infrastructure, and we also have a company that is coming to set up here in Kenya that will be buying much of the fruits for sale into the European market, one of the biggest market connections to some of our retail outlets there. Lastly, from the Honorable Nyoto is on training of farmers. We do it sometimes on request specifically by a cooperative or by the governor or